Taco Bout It. All around the country, people plan their entire days, most popularly on Tuesdays, around tacos, proteins and cheeses and vegetables, all stuffed inside of tortillas. And everyone and every diet has their own version of a tortilla, an edible, moldable bowl plate that you fill with your favorite food fantasy. I went through my pantry and I have some freshly milled, local, 100% whole wheat flour. So that's how I am making my first tortilla. I've got about 2 cups of whole wheat flour and some really warm water, as hot as I can stand it. And I'm going to pour it over the flour while I mix it until it all gets incorporated, grabbing all of the flour, bringing it back to the middle, pushing it down, grabbing it again, around the bowl, push it down. Once I have all of the flour and the water incorporated and it starts to, see this here? Flour likes the water likes the flour. Okay, so now is where I add the salt to it. I have about a teaspoon of salt in here. So let's put that salt in there. We're going to strengthen the gluten in here now. Sometimes the whole wheat tends to get drier and it's a little bit more of an earthy flavor because it's not as processed. So we're going to just a little sugar, love. Okay. Bring it around, push it down, bring it around, push it down, bring it around, push it down. You don't have to put ghee in your tortillas. We're trying to be healthy here, but ghee makes me happy. So every bit of the tortilla is now gonna have a little bit of that ghee in there. So now what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the dough, turning it around, and I'm pushing it down. So I'm doing more of like a fold. So once your second arm gets tired, put some plastic on it and stick it in the fridge. That's all whole wheat flour, 100% whole wheat flour, salt, water, some ghee, and a little bit of sugar. Hear that? Stand back. Look at it. Perfect. We made whole wheat tortillas, but when I want a taco, I really want a corn tortilla. I really wanted to know the right way to make these corn tortillas, and I thought that I bought the wrong flour. I actually got this freshly milled blue corn flour from the same place that I got my whole wheat flour. And my friend Kelsey told me that she uses this flour and she makes tortillas. So if you want to talk to a friend, you share a recipe. So let's call Kelsey so she can show me how to make corn tortillas. Oh. And she's already there, the TV magic. So I have this blue corn flour. This is the right flour?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Real talk, I don't have any bowls left, so I'm mixing it in my pot. Is that gonna work? We just need something to mix it.
It's gonna be fine. I feel like ultimately a bowl is a bowl. As long as you have everything around it, which you clearly do, we are good to go.
Okay, so what do I need?
So the first thing, the recipe that we're going to make traditionally makes about 8 tortillas. Okay. But I feel like when people say it traditionally makes 8 tortillas, I like more of a street taco where I understand other people like a bigger taco. So if you're making a bigger one, it'll only make 8. Okay. However, if you're making street, it'll probably make around 16. So I just want to kind of give that as a general idea, just so that people aren't wondering how many they're actually going to get. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get 1.5 cups of your blue cornmeal.
Okay, so we need something. We need something to measure.
You can use a coffee mug. Is about 8 ounces, which is 1 cup.
1.5 coffee mugs of blue corn flour.
Perfect. And the best part about this is if you don't get the measurement exact, which I very rarely do, it's totally okay because it's only a little bit of flour, water, and cornmeal total. So you can always add. So I would say start low, and then we can always add more. So the next step is we're going to add boiling water to the cornmeal. We're adding 2 cups of water.
Little bit more water than flour ratio?
Yes, because what we're going to do next is we're going to add a little bit of flour to it. Okay. That way it binds it. So even though these are corn tortillas, they do have a little bit of flour, but that's honestly the only way they'll bind, so that when you finally flatten them and then start to cook them, they don't fall apart.
This is what I was doing wrong. My water was not hot enough.
So next we let it sit for 5 minutes because it's gonna start to turn into mush, like almost like a mud type of feeling. So you just let it sit and we can start to get the flour ready.
Oh, we're getting the flour. Oh, okay. I was doing everything wrong.
So you can use all-purpose flour. I have discovered stone ground flour, which is now my new favorite. It's actually kind of hard to find, so if you can't find it, all-purpose is great too.
What do you prefer, the whole wheat flour over the all-purpose flour?
I would do the whole wheat just because it's a little bit healthier than the regular. We're only gonna do 3/4 cup.
Oh wait, we need a separate bowl, right?
You don't actually necessarily need it because what you're doing is you're going to throw the flour into the mixture once the 5 minutes is over. So if we're trying to save bowls or we just don't have enough, then I would say just leave it off to the side and start measuring it.
Okay, the blue corn flour has been sitting in the boiling water for 5 minutes and we didn't touch it. Now what?
We're going to add the flour and the seasoning to the blue corn.
About how much?
I would say a little bit less than half of a coffee mug.
I'll start putting that right on top, okay.
Perfect, and we'll start again slow just in case we need to add more, that's totally okay.
Okay.
I like to mix it with a fork, and the only reason I do a fork is so you don't over mix. I almost like the same, like if you whisk eggs with a fork, that's the same kind of movement you want.
With my wrist, is it all in the wrist? Okay, it's all in the wrist, people. In the wrist, they say risk, it's all in the wrist. Okay, so we did not spice this up yet.
So depending on what you're going to pair it with, you could do like some chili flakes inside of the flour. Some people don't really like a ton of seasoning in their tortilla. So if that's the case, I would add a little bit of salt and call it a day.
And magic salt, it's all you need. A little bit of salt and call it a day. It's perfect, yes. I want to taste the most out of my corn tortilla. So how about we just do some ground medium green chili powder?
Perfect.
That be good? All right. Of course it will be. Why wouldn't ground green chili powder be good? All right, so I'm mixing this together again. So this is looking like super like loose and wet and stuff. Are we letting it sit more or are we adding more to it?
So in that case, I would add a little bit more flour.
How about we go a fist at a time?
Perfect.
How stiff do we want this to be?
I would say like 90% of what a dough should be. So it will still be that crumbly, but it'll still have a certain amount of dough because we're gonna roll it into balls before we prep it. So we want it to hold together and bind that way.
Okay.
It's all coming together and that more crumbly, I see what you're talking about.
And so at this time, I would shift it to your parchment paper and start kneading it.
Oh, cool, okay. So do you have a special kneading technique? Is there a special way that you need to knead it?
There is not. So the way I knead it is I place a little bit of flour on top. I sprinkle it and then I get my hands with some flour because it is a very sticky mixture, especially once you start flipping it to the different sides. So that's all I do. And then what I sometimes do if my dough is too sticky to the point where it's just too much is coming off on my hands is I'll take the parchment paper and I'll do exactly what you just did is I'll flip it using the parchment paper. So typically you need for about 1 minute to 2 minutes, but realistically, I don't always think you need the full 2 minutes. If it feels like it's not as sticky as when you first started, then you're pretty much set.
Oh my gosh. I can smell it already.
And so now what you're going to do is you're just gonna start taking pieces of it and rolling them into little tiny balls. So this is again where we talked about like if you like a street taco or you like a bigger taco. So realistically, the balls don't have to be any same size. You can make some small, some big. It's totally okay. You're cooking them individually, so it does not matter. So just do whatever size you would like.
If I have extra of this dough, can I keep it in the refrigerator and use it tomorrow?
Absolutely. So you can keep it in the refrigerator. I am a huge meal prepper. And so what I do a lot of is I freeze nonstop. So I make a ton of dough and I roll balls first.
Yeah.
And then if you freeze them, I recommend putting them in plastic wrap first before you put them in a bag to freeze. You can take a few out at a time and you don't have to take the whole thing out because they've frozen together.
Can we start squishing?
We start squishing. They've already set, so we are good to go now.
Okay, so do I want to have my my pan already hot with the oil in it?
Yes, so I like to start the pan and just do it because it's more of an assembly line at that point. Like you're gonna press one while you're cooking one and flipping. So I just say get the pan started. So I would recommend cooking it in ghee or coconut oil or regular oil just because it's higher in fat.
I love that you said coconut oil too, because my surprise was fried in coconut oil. So are we spraying both this and the pan, or?
So definitely the pan. When I usually form my dough, like when I press it, I use saran wrap.
Okay, so I'm using plastic wrap.
Perfect.
Okay, smushing. And this feels hot, so I'm gonna spray this too. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right into the pan. I think it's hot enough.
My only safety tip for anybody that's first time doing this, if you have the saran wrap, do not seal it over your oven or your stovetop because it does start to stick to the actual flour.
Okay, the good news is there is a sizzle going on. Okay, like 6/8 of the tortilla landed in the pan. Okay, but I'm gonna do your smush trick. There's a little hole in there.
Oh, perfect. Throw it on in there.
I'll patch it. As soon as it hits the pan, it's immediately all sticking together. Nothing is falling apart. So that's why your hot water, your boiling water trick works too. Cool. Oh my gosh, I love the color on it, and I love when it starts to toast and then you get the bread, that nice toasty brown color on the outside. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to try this guy. I flipped it. Do you think this is good?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yay! Okay, so we are putting a couple different things in our tacos. Kelsey and I both decided that we were going to make a chicken taco. So Kelsey will tell me what she put in her chicken and how she made it. And then we both have a surprise taco that we both did that we will reveal to each other. So Kelsey, I'll show you what I did with my chicken first. I made a barbecue sauce, and you can use any barbecue sauce that you like. So any of your favorite jarred sauce, you just pour it over your chicken breast. You don't even have to do anything to your chicken. I cooked it low and slow, 275 for 3 hours. Every taste that you could think of that your taste buds recognize. So everything from the spicy, the sweet, the smoky, the chipotle was my smoky spice that's dominant in it. Okay.
So I went a speedier route, although I love yours. And I did shredded chicken as well, but the way I did mine was in my Instapot, which if you do not have an Instapot, no, I am not sponsored by them, but this is my total plug to get one because it is a game changer in the kitchen. And so I did the Instapot. I filled it a little bit with water and like a bouillon cube in there so that there was a little bit of an aroma. And then I added some liquid smoke to it. And I cooked it for just a whopping 5 minutes, but it's gonna get the same effect. Afterwards, I shredded it and I seasoned mine with this Nashville hot chicken seasoning, which again, because I am such a meal prepper, you tend to cook the exact same thing. So you have to find new seasonings so every meal tastes a little bit different. So this is the one I went with so that when I topped it, I am going to top it with, I did a black bean, avocado, tomato, and corn mixture. And then I put a little bit of lime. I added more of that smoke and salt and pepper.
I also have some avocado and I also have some shredded cheese. Okay, now the surprise. I did a vegan version of a taco. I mixed black beans, and pinto beans, and I did turmeric and spices. I have sweet potato and rice, and then I had this gluten-free rice and potato corn flour starch. So all I did was let them set for a little while, and check it out. They're like veggie burgers, but in the shape to be able to put in, wait, hold on, we gotta test it now. Let's see if it'll fit inside. Oh.
Perfect.
Fit inside there. We are going to top our vegan taco with our vegan cheese, and we'll see how that tastes. Okay, what's your surprise? I can't wait.
So my surprise, we decided to do vegetarian, except I too went vegan. And the reason I went vegan is because I feel like all my poor vegan friends out there never get like the full meal that I always get. So I tried to incorporate it. So here is what it looks like, the inside. But what I filled it with is a little bit of quinoa so that it combines.
Quinoa.
So then I did shiitake mushrooms, and then I put in kimchi and broccoli slaw. And then you're gonna top it with a little bit of sriracha.
Yes, yes. I, like Kelsey, love to top my tacos, any taco, with some sriracha or with some hot sauce because you just, yeah. Thank you so much for showing us how to make corn tortillas the proper way. I am so excited, and it's so flexible, and I can't wait to fill it with all of my yummy goodies.
Of course, thank you for having me.
So if you want something for dinner and your partner wants something else, talk about it. And the more we talk about it, the more love we will find.
It looks like cheese.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like cheese.
Oh, gross.